with Mark Tewart. And now here's your host.
Hi, welcome to On the Mark with Mark Tewart. This show is about individual and organizational development. What can you do, whether you're a dealer or you're a receptionist, a salesperson, any position in a dealership to improve your job performance, to do better at your job? And in today's segment, I want to talk to Ed Bell at Great Lakes Honda, a salesperson, about what he's done to greatly enhance his sales, his income, and improve his productivity. Hi, I'd like to welcome Ed Bell to On the Mark with Mark Tewart. Ed is a salesperson at Great Lakes Honda in Akron, Ohio, and I had an opportunity to meet Ed a few years ago, and I think it's an interesting story that a lot of salespeople can gain some great information from. So welcome to my show, Ed.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here. I wanted to ask you, when I first met you a few years ago, Ed, approximately, just roughly, how many cars were you selling at that time?
You know, before I met you, I was just selling about maybe 5 to 6 cars a month. So it was kind of rough.
So you were struggling at the time, and I'm not going to take credit for this. I'm going to give all the credit to you. But since then, now, how many cars a month are you selling just roughly?
It's a blessing that I'm 25 to about 28 cars a month now. So it's, I've increased.
Wow, from 5 to 25, 28 cars. I mean, that's a success story. So what I want to ask you is, if you could pick one overriding thing, Ed, that would say, this made a big difference for me. What's the biggest change of going from 5 to 25? Because there's a whole lot of people watching this show that are in your category of where you were then, that, you know, they have the ability, they have the talent, but something along the line is missing there. So if you had to clue somebody in and say, here's one thing that made a big difference for me, what would that be?
Just prospecting. I mean, it's funny that we're talking about this now. It just came from a chamber meeting at my dealership. It's just getting out in the community, just using the resources. And one thing that's been awesome that you suggested to me, my Facebook, and it's just using my Facebook has helped me tremendously, and using some best practices there.
If you had to guess, how many cars a month do you sell off of Facebook?
I mean, it's like my inbox is like pinging all the time. I would say about 10 cars from Facebook.
So are these friends of yours, people in the community from, you said, a chamber meeting? Where are these people? Where do most of your customers come from? If you had to categorize, where are they coming from?
What happens, and again, it's just whenever I sell a car, I kind of post congratulations. But the key thing that I do is I make sure that I tag that person. So the beautiful thing about that is once I tag them, then all of their friends see the excitement of what's going on, and they get like, well, who's this Ed Bell? And I have a tagline, who's next? They call me Who's Next Bell around here. So just branding myself, marketing myself, and they get excited to come and see me to get that experience as well.
So who's next Bell? And so you're tagging the people. If they've got 100, 200, 500 friends, whatever it may be, that's free advertising for you, just showing that you took care of their friend. And so you're top of mind awareness at that point. So if you were talking to a brand new salesperson, and now you have the perspective and the experience of somebody going from 5 all the way up to 20, 25, and even approaching 30, and you could say, hey, here's one thing I would share with you that made a difference for me, or one thing that I would change if I had to go back and start all over again to kind of shorten your learning curve, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's brand new?
I mean, and it's almost, we always try to reinvent the wheel, but it goes back to just who can I reach the easiest and the most economical. Like you said, Facebook is free, so I mean everybody's on Facebook, and if you have any friends on your Facebook, I challenge them to introduce what they're doing, the business that they're in, and just ask people to just help you out, get a great start, and come and see exactly what you do. And just everything that you do in this automotive business, just always put it out there, your brag book, if you will. So people when they see you, and it's kind of synonymous to Ed Bell Cars, so I would encourage people to just use that source, Instagram, Twitter, and all of that, and just get it out there to the masses because it's free and it works. It's effective.
So people who say that you can't sell cars through social media, you would strongly disagree with at this point.
Totally disagree. Totally disagree.
So interesting question for you, Ed. Are you working any more hours, or are you working about the same? Is it just that you're more productive during your hours? What is it?
And they get after me when I turn my computer off around 7:30 because we get out of here at 9, you know. So I turn my computer. But I'm not going to say I work less hours. I'm just a lot more effective in the things that I'm doing. It lets me get in my crunch time, and it lets me leave at a decent hour and still be effective.
So every day it sounds like you got a game plan on what you're going to do with your day rather than coming in and winging it. Is that correct?
That is for sure. My day is planned from my first donut to my last drink of water when I leave.
So in your community, if you're in Akron, you're at Great Lakes Honda in Akron, Ohio.
Oh, my LeBron James, baby.
Is there anything that you're doing other than the chamber, as you mentioned, and Facebook to reach out to bring even more people to you?
It's funny. I'm always advertising myself. If I'm pumping the gas, somebody has, standing at the next pump. Everyone that I come across, I make sure that they know exactly what I do. And if it's not something that I can help them with, I ask them, respectfully to please just forward to someone that may be in a need. So I'm always, like I said, if I'm at the gas station, at my local dry cleaners, everyone knows what Ed Bell does, and I'm asking who's next.
Okay, along with that, Ed, if you were to say on a given month, if you sold 25 cars at this point, how many of those cars that you're selling are coming from repeats and referrals at this point? I know it can vary, but just roughly on a given month, if it were 25 cars, how many of those from those two categories, repeat and referrals?
And like I said, from the Facebook, being 10, I mean, a lot of that comes from the referral. So 10 to about 12 cars is based off of referrals to Facebook and all of that. So it's been a blessing, and I'm going to keep grinding and keep making new heights.
Do you have any particular follow-up process that you're doing? I know you have a CRM system, but how religious are you about your follow-up for your solds, your unsolds? What are you doing anything special?
Everyone, I try to do my 2-2-2, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. I have, again, I have my thank you, and has my face on it, and I email it out to everyone just so I can always stay at the top of their mind. So I call it the 2-2-2. 2 days, 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 months. So I make sure that I stay on top of these people. So.
Well, the main thing I see is you got a process. You're pretty driven. You're methodical. You got some point along the line serious and committed to the business. Would you say if you had to look at not only just technical things, but the biggest thing that you did is you made a commitment and got serious? Would you agree with that?
Oh, that's the biggest part about it. It's easy to come here and when no one's in front of you, twiddle your thumbs and eat as many donuts as you can and just hopefully work. Before I was just like, oh my gosh, who's coming in next? So it's a blessing.
It's great when you don't have to depend upon that fresh customer walking in the door, isn't it?
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, Ed Bell from Great Lakes Honda, I want to thank you so much just for being a part of my show. I thought that your story is a great story because a lot of people talk about successes, but they don't often talk about their failures or their struggles or how they got from where they were struggling to the point of being successful. And yours has happened relatively quick, and you've built something special there. It's a tribute to you, and hopefully I believe that this can be some great information for somebody. I think whether they're already doing well or especially if they're in that struggle stage or that medium stage to hear a little bit about what you did, and also that it is possible. These aren't just stories. It's reality that if you get committed and you begin to prospect, you have a daily plan, you have a follow-up plan, and you let everybody know what you do, and you're methodical about it, that you could be successful. So, hey, buddy, that's a tribute to you. I honor you. You're part of what makes this industry great. Thank you so much for coming on my cell, and continued success, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I hope you folks enjoyed this show with Ed Bell. I think it had some phenomenal information that showed what Ed did to go from a struggling salesperson to a highly productive, even a superstar salesperson. And the great thing is that any one of you watching this show that are in Ed's position of where he was, you can see that you can do what Ed has already done. It's not fantasy, it's a reality. It's about a plan and executing the plan just like Ed has done. So thanks so much for Ed for joining us on this show and giving us that great information. Once again, I'm Mark Tewart with On the Mark. Make sure you join us for our next show.